Here's the dream. The dream is that when an honest history is written about Joburg in 50 years' time, that history will not be able to exclude mentioning Rosebank Union Church. At the heart of it, that's what we want to be as a church. This countercultural, redemptive community. In other words, a city in a city. Rosebank is this little city in the city of Joburg, a city of refuge. We want to be that city of refuge. So distinctly different, so distinctly aligned to Jesus, so obviously for Jesus and the ways of Jesus, but also so obviously for our city on behalf of Jesus.
Last year was my best year at Rosebank Union Church. And granted, I've only been here 3 years, but 2022 was by far the best. It was the first opportunity that we've had since 2020 to operate fully in all of our ministry departments. We were just able to open wide the doors of the church and run hard as a ministry for the year, which is exactly what we did. And we saw the fruits of that consistency with slow but steady growth in so many, almost every area of ministry in our church. From our next gen ministries to our community groups to taking on over 70 new members in the church. It has been such a healthy year of growth for us last year. It was also the first full year of ministry for our brand new Johannesburg Bible College campus in Alexandra. We had hoped and prayed for about 20 to 30 students to enroll at the campus. We had double that. And so the guys, Nat and his staff, had to open an evening class just to cater for the demand. And man, I've been so excited at the success of that project and look forward to seeing what's going to happen this year in 2023. On a similar note, we are so proud of our partnership with Campus Outreach. They also had their first full year of ministry on campus at Wits University last year over a long hiatus due to COVID, and their first full year of ministry as a partner of Rosebank. And Vuyani and his crew have done such an incredible job, and we look forward to what they're going to do this year as well. Last year, we also launched our exciting project Refresh, which was a project to raise some funds to renew and restore some of the ailing parts of our campus, which is now 23 years old. The project got off to a pretty slow start, but we did manage to fix the air conditioner in the auditorium, which was really big for us, and start the first step of revamping our amphitheater space, which is such a crucial space for nurturing fellowship with one another, which is a big deal for us this year. By the time you're watching this video, you will have seen the next exciting phase of that project unrolling already. But amidst the excitement of the year, there were, of course, some difficult decisions that had to be made, and the most difficult of those was the decision to close our counseling center and to transition to a more member-based counseling ministry. We are so excited for the counseling ministry that will be starting in 2023, but that didn't kind of lessen the impact of the difficult decision of having to help counseling staff members transition into their new roles as independent private counselors. Of course, a lot of my time as senior pastor is in preparing and in preaching, and last year the standout was our sermon series through Daniel. And man, I have never been so stretched myself in Bible study and in preaching, as I'm sure you as the congregation of Rosebank were also stretched. And I was just so encouraged at your engagement with the series, as your willingness to really go deep and wrestle with this book. It has been such an encouragement to me, and I'm so excited to continue digging deep with you in the scriptures as we journey through Matthew this year. Looking back on the year, it really has been such a wonderful year for us, and I have just to thank the amazing staff we have at Rosebank Union, our team of committed and wise elders who shepherd the church, the over 200 volunteers who serve in every ministry area of the church, and of course just you, the congregation, the family of Rosebank, that have been such an encouragement to me and to one another, and really looking forward to this next year with you.
In our first year back to normal, there was a clear sense of joy and relief as God's people were able to gather again for corporate worship without any COVID restrictions. And because I'm on stage a lot of the time, I got to witness this firsthand. There has been such a vibe and joy and energy here at Rosebank Union, and I feel like people are singing louder than ever before. We give thanks to God for this. Well, talking about vibe, I must say there has been such a vibe amongst the worship team. God has really established a culture of friendship and love and family and community amongst the worship team, and I am so grateful for this. He has added to our number. In 2022, we saw a number of new people join the worship team. And we're so grateful to him that our services continue to be a blessing to those who take part in them. Well, a special thanks must go to the worship team volunteers who faithfully serve God with their gifts and talents week in and week out. Thank you to you guys. And then, of course, a special shout out to Phil, our sound engineer. Without you, Phil, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So thank you, brother.
What an epic year. In June, the COVID restrictions fell away. That was gathering capacities and masks fell away, so we were able to gather unrestricted for the first time in a long time. And with the help of the visitor integration process that helps those not connected get connected, and intentional community building events such as Spring Sunday services and Vibe Nights, we were able to grow community and change COVID cultures of unconnectedness and rushing off after the service. And Jesus promised that he would build his church, and in his mercy, he brought incredible people to serve here at RUC. There are many people that serve across many ministries. We affectionately call them Team RUC, but they're all doing God's work and kingdom work here. So thank you for doing that. We also know that God has continued to equip people to serve. And so the service, Ask Me, tech team, and communion team, thank you so much for faithfully making Sundays great. On an average Sunday, you served 700 people. So thank you so much. A phrase that we used to say in our team is family before function, that our teams are a part of the church family, grafted into RUC in deep community before they serve a function here at church. So thank you for being a part of our family and serving. And a special thank you to Norma, James, and Phil from K2 and my incredible Sundays team for making Sundays so great.
It's such a great privilege to have been the pastor of Lead Ministries in 2022. Some of my role involves shepherding and caring for some of the staff, and I'm particularly overseeing the ministry side of the church, as well as serving on the EGB and assisting Richard in his leadership role. So I do want to just thank those that report to me, particularly Zwai as pastor of discipleship. I'm sure he's going to tell you a lot about what he's been up to, but particularly just the regular meeting with CG leaders at Lead Table, the refocusing of our disciple-making ministry, Caroline Mandlin coming on board as a volunteer to assist us in that area. And then to Brett, to thank Brett as the next gen pastor, just the many complexities of that ministry, some new things, and just the opportunity I've had to invest into Brett's life. And Brett, just want to commend you for your maturity. And then it's such a pleasure to have Jenni Kurten reporting to me as the Director of Global Missions. But as of 2023, we have now appointed her full-time. You may not have realized that she's been part-time all these years, and she is now Director not only of Global Missions, but local missions as well. And so that's something new for us as a church, and some exciting things are already beginning to happen there as well. And then in 2022, I, together with an elder subcommittee, really researched and looked at a potential new model of doing counseling as a church, and we're quite excited about that direction. But it obviously meant the closing of our counseling center. And so I want to thank Fiona and her team just for many, many hours of faithfulness in serving our city. And so as we move forward, there's some exciting things on the horizon. We want to really train a whole team of pastoral counselors, and so you're going to hear more about that as the year unfolds. The counseling center is still operational on our premises, at least for 2023, but those counselors are operating now in their private capacity and independent of RUC. And then I'd like to thank Razan Cloak for just assisting me last year. Part of my role is also researching in various projects and other initiatives, and so she assisted me, and now she's moving into a new role, but we're now joined by Farai Mafu, and it's a great privilege to have her serving alongside me over the ministry wing of the church. And then finally, I just want to thank you as the church and the leadership for giving me a sabbatical last year. 2022, the first bit of the year, it's probably the best break, the longest break that I've ever had in 27 years of ministry, and it's restored my soul deeply. I'm just deeply humbled that I would be granted this opportunity, and I feel I've come back with fresh energy, great health, physically, mentally, spiritually. So just thank you for that. And I encourage you to continue to pray for me and pray for the ministry side of the church as we continue to build and consolidate and dream about the future.
The missions ministry at Rosebank experienced new life and growth in 2022. The easing of restrictions allowed us to send a youth mission after a couple of years of no youth missions, and we sent a wonderful team of teens and their leaders and camp parents off to Shongwe, where they were a great blessing. And then in turn we received their choir, who came and sang at our carol service and was such a blessing to us. The easing of restrictions also meant that we were able to welcome a lot of our families home for a short visit post-COVID. One of our biggest highlights was that Christine was finally able to leave and go to Japan. Akadi and Annika have just experienced the Lord's love and care and faithfulness through a very tumultuous year of the start of the war in Ukraine, having to flee the country, be refugees in Hungary for a while, come back to South Africa, and then return to Poland to minister to Ukrainian refugees there. Alper is working in a closed country. A highlight for them and for us was his visit with his mom and his sister briefly towards the end of the year. It was the first time that his mom and his sister have been able to experience worship in a church and the fellowship of believers. We are also grateful to God for allowing us to be part of this amazing work to make him known to the ends of the earth.
Consistency. 2022 was a year of consistency within the young adult ministry. Wednesday in and Wednesday out, we had people gathering around the city and here at Rosebank Union Church to go deeper with their relationship with God and with one another. And what I'm so grateful with this consistency is that we saw God do amazing things. Whenever we gathered as a big group here at the church, we would often break 100 people coming through to grow together. And then when we sent people out into their homes, the depth of relationship that was found in these home community groups was so beautiful. And so the consistency did two things. We grew in number and we grew in depth. We also started 2 brand new community groups. And so I thank God for this. I also want to thank our amazing community group leaders. I could not do this without them. And so thank you for your sacrifice every Wednesday as you've led the community of young adults here at Rosebank Union Church. Thank you.
We give all the glory to God for the year that was 2022, where we saw a growth in our personal discipleship as well as our community and fellowship at Youth at X Squared. We had an opportunity to preach parallel to our church as we went through the same books and series, looking at what gospel culture is and how we can live alongside one another as a church community in following Jesus, as well as looking at the book of Daniel in looking at how we can live and work in the places where we live, work and play, and being able to be salt and light to the world and come up against a culture that is very different from what our faith calls us to be. It was an amazing opportunity for us to be able to teach like this and see the youth teaching team actually preaching a lot of this content, which was amazing to see God's gifts being used within the leaders of our church. The highlight of the year for us was Youth Missions Trip 2022, where we went to Shongwe, Limpopo, and met up with Sally and her team to just love on the people there doing soccer, netball, and kids ministries, as well as getting our hands dirty, as it wouldn't be a missions trip if we didn't, in sanding down the walls of Tembeletu Center, painting it up, as well as building chairs from some of the old school chairs that were from the area. We couldn't have done all of this wonderful work without our wonderful volunteers, youth volunteers, as well as our camp parents and Jenni and Andre, who were just alongside us doing this work on the ground. What amazing time we had, as well as doing discipleship in the afternoons with our teens as we looked at what it means to live out the gospel and be the hands and feet of Jesus. It has been a wonderful, wonderful year as we closed off 2022, going into 2023, just asking questions around identity and sexuality, which has been a subject of contention of late, and just looking at what the Bible says about our sexuality and identity, giving our teens tools to be able to wrestle through the questions themselves, as well as take that into their places of schooling to be able to love people with grace and truth wherever they may find themselves. Really just excited for what 2023 will bring. We're just so thankful and honored to have the privilege of leading this group of teens as they've become such a core to our church. It has been such an amazing year, and we're just so thankful to the Lord and to our church for your wonderful support and your grace.
We are so thankful that we've had another year of partnering with God in what He's doing in RUC's children's ministry. And we've seen God do some amazing things throughout 2022. We kicked off the year with a complete rebrand, a new look and a new name, RUC Kids. And I must say, our team looks amazing in their new shirts. We were also able, with the help of some amazing moms in our ministry, to start a moms group, one that runs on Tuesdays every week and another one that runs monthly on Saturdays. Last year was also the year of equipping kids with Bible skills. And it was so encouraging throughout the year to see them grow in their ability to engage with God's Word for themselves. The older kids have learned skills like observation and application, and the younger ones have learned how to find Bible books for themselves and also know some Bible books and authors off by heart. We really hope to see this grow in the year to come. Perhaps the biggest item of praise is that God made tangible to us the words in 1 Corinthians 3 verse 6. Here Paul talks about how he planted, Apollos watered, but God is the one who brings the growth. We really saw last year how God can use different people through different seasons to still accomplish His purposes. I'm so thankful to Ariel and Josh, who took over running the ministry while I was on maternity leave for most of the second half of the year. They both grew incredibly in their faith and their leadership and brought such life and unique gifting to the ministry. Please pray with us so that our volunteer team can grow even more and become more diverse in the year to come, and that we will see more kids give their lives to Christ and grow in their personal relationship with Him.
Well, 2022 was amazing. It was a year filled with a lot of activity from the discipleship ministry. We had strengthened relations with the preaching ministry of our church through our CG intensives, and that is our community group leader intensives that we've run before and after the Daniel series, and they were aimed at preparing our CG leaders to lead effectively, and also just getting around the book of Daniel was really amazing. So I think coming out of 2022, we feel like there's a strengthened relationship between community groups and the teaching ministry of Rosebank. The second thing that I think was really amazing in 2022 was that we had our first getaway for personal disciple-making ministry at Rosebank. And this was a group of about 27 people that we had selected from the church that wanted to disciple. They wanted to get into the lives of people and walk with them for a season. And we really walked away again very encouraged by the readiness of people to serve, the readiness to get into the mess of people's lives. And so coming into 2023, we really are looking forward to launching this ministry here at Rosebank. I had the help of Caroline Manline coming alongside me, and which was a huge blessing just to have a ministry partner who is preparing and walking alongside with me as we seek to launch this ministry. The third thing that I just want to talk about, it is Raising Parents podcast. As you might be aware of this, it is in partnership with REC Kids. So Ansune and myself have been doing this podcast for a number of years now, and it is so exciting to see how far it's gone, the people that it's reaching. It's people that are not necessarily part of Rosebank, and which is amazing because we wanted to connect not only just with Rosebank parents, but we wanted to connect with parents across Johannesburg. So I've had the opportunity to run a parenting seminar at a school here in Joburg, and again, we're taking the concepts that we've been unpacking through Raising Parents and sharing those things. And it's been so exciting just to see the response, and we look forward again as we get into 2023 to see how far Raising Parents, how far of a reach it will have in the lives of parents in Johannesburg.
Every year sees hundreds of lives impacted, families supported, and young people given hope for a brighter future in Alexandra. 2022 was no different at Rays of Hope. Through the year, the team worked incredibly hard across our focus areas of education and vulnerable children and families, including starting several new programs. The education team continued to run our Early Childhood Development Center, our Grade 1 to 3 after-school program. Rosebank, the longest running program, was in its 32nd year. Ignition continued to support their tertiary students, and a gap year type initiative known as Trailblazers was piloted in the second half of the year. On the vulnerable and children and families side, we continue to support the most vulnerable through a number of support groups for teenagers, parents, gogos, and a new one for teenage moms. We also started a schools initiative to provide the young people with tools to understand and handle bullying, anger, gender-based violence, and sexuality. Towards the end of the year, the new strategy was launched and the team started to prepare to change from working in pillared focus areas to focusing on the whole child. This whole child model sees every child receiving learning and development support, psychosocial intervention and family care, impacting not only the single child but their family too. Rays of Hope would like to thank everyone at Rosebank Union Church who supported our work in Alexandra through giving financially and in kind, donating lots of goodies and volunteering by tutoring at Rosebank to mentoring, sorting donations, to praying for our work. We appreciate all your support and we look forward to a great 2023 together.